The Number and Sequence of the Books of the Bible by Bruce M. Metzger. The Old Testament. According to Jewish usage, the 24 books of the Hebrew Scriptures fall into three divisions: the Law, the Prophets, and the Writings. The prophets are divided into the former prophets and the latter prophets. The terms former and latter refer to their position in the list and have no reference to date of composition. The books of Samuel, Kings, Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah were not divided by the Jews until the close of the Middle Ages. The 12 minor prophets are treated as one book. The two subdivisions of the prophets, therefore, contain 4 books each. In most editions of the Hebrew Bible, the sequence of the books is as follows: the Law, 5 books; Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. The Prophets, 8 books; former prophets, Joshua, Judges, Samuel 1 and 2, Kings 1 and 2. And the latter prophets, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, the 12, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi. And the Writings, 11 books: Psalms, Proverbs, Job, Song of Songs, Ruth, Lamentations, Ecclesiastes, Esther, Daniel, Ezra, Nehemiah, Chronicles 1 and 2. In Protestant editions of the Bible, the Old Testament follows the Hebrew text as regards content, but the books in the second and third divisions are rearranged in sequence and several are divided, making a total of 39. In Roman Catholic editions, the Old Testament contains the rearranged 39 books of the Hebrew Scriptures plus 7 others which are current in the official Latin Vulgate Bible, and which Protestants include among the Apocrypha. For a discussion of the reasons why Protestants and Roman Catholic Bibles differ in contents, see section of the containing the Apocrypha at the close of the volume. The order of these 46 books in Vulgate manuscripts varies greatly. In fact, the manuscripts that have been examined disclose more than 200 different ways of arranging the books. In current editions of Roman Catholic Bibles, including the Douay version, the Jerusalem Bible, and the New American Bible, Tobit and Judith stand after Nehemiah 1 and 2, Maccabees after Esther, except in the Douay version, in which these books conclude the Old Testament. Wisdom and Ecclesiastes after the Song of Solomon, and Baruch with the letter of Jeremiah as chapter 6 after Lamentations. Furthermore, the books of Esther and Daniel are expanded by several additional chapters and parts of chapters, which Protestants regard as apocryphal. They comprise 6 additions to the book of Esther and the following 3 supplements to the book of Daniel: the prayer of Azariah and the song of the three young men, Susanna, and Bel and the dragon. In the original Douay version of 1609 and 1610, an appendix after the close of the Old Testament contains 3 other books: 3 and 4 Esdras, called 1 and 2 Esdras by Protestants, and the prayer of Manasseh. These are regarded as apocryphal by Roman Catholics as well as Protestants. It is curious that in the Geneva Bible of 1560, widely used by the Puritans, the prayer of Manasseh is included in the Old Testament between 2 Chronicles and Ezra, though in the table of contents it is designated as apocryphal. The Greek Orthodox Church, which uses the Greek Septuagint version as its official text, has generally been accustomed to follow the longer canon of the Old Testament, including, in this case, also the 151st Psalm and 3 Maccabees. The Seventh Ecumenical Council, held at Nicaea in 787, and the council convened by Basil in Constantinople in 869, quote certain apocryphal as authoritative. On the other hand, writers who raised the issue concerning the limits of the canon, such as John of Damascus and Nicephorus, express views that coincide with those of Athanasius, who adhered to the Hebrew canon. In the Schism of 1054, the Apocrypha were not an issue, though they became such during the Protestant Reformation. At that time, a short-lived attempt was made by Cyril Lucar, Patriarch of Constantinople, to promote the adoption of the Hebrew canon in the Greek Church. Subsequently, however, the Synod of Jerusalem, 1672, condemned Cyril and expressly designated the books of Wisdom, Judith, Tobit, Bel and the Dragon, Susanna, Maccabees, and Ecclesiasticus as canonical. By way of summary, the Roman Catholic Church and the Greek Orthodox Church agree in regarding as authoritative certain books, which they call deuterocanonical, and which Protestants call apocryphal. In addition, the following books are considered apocryphal by Protestants and Roman Catholics, but are in the Greek canon when indicated. 1. Esdras A in the Greek canon, 3. Esdras in appendix to Latin Vulgate, 2. Esdras, 4. Esdras in appendix to Latin Vulgate, Prayer of Manasseh in the Greek canon in appendix to Latin Vulgate, Psalm 151 and 3 Maccabees in the Greek canon, 4 Maccabees in appendix to Greek canon. The number and the sequence of the 27 books of the New Testament are the same in Protestant and Roman Catholic editions of the English Bible. A comparison of the extant manuscripts of the New Testament discloses that the early church was accustomed to arrange them in 4 groups. 1. The Gospels, 2. The Acts and the general or Catholic letters, that is, the 7 letters which bear the name of James, Peter, John, and Jude, 3. The Pauline letters, 4. The Apocalypse, as in the 5th century Codex Alexandrinus, and general letters, Alexandrinus, and many other manuscripts. Sometimes the Pauline letters precede the Acts and general letters, thus placing first the books which had earliest obtained canonical authority, as in the 4th century Codex Sinaiticus and the 6th century Codex Fuldensis. Within each of the 4 groups, there was a great variety of order. In the early Western Church of the gospel sequence most commonly followed was that of Matthew, John, Luke, Mark, namely, the Gospels attributed to apostles preceding those attributed to disciples of the apostles. The letter to the Hebrews had no fixed place. Sometimes it stood at the end of the Pauline letters, sometimes between Paul's letters to churches and those to individuals, that is, between 2 Thessalonians and 1 Timothy, and occasionally after Romans, as in the 3rd century Chester Beatty Papyrus, or after Galatians, as in an ancestor of the 4th century Codex Vaticanus, as is disclosed by the section numbers in Vaticanus. In the West, the letters of Peter were frequently placed first among the general letters. The current order of the Pauline and the general letters seems to have been drawn up roughly in accord with length, the longest one in each group, Paul to churches, Paul to individuals, and general letters, standing first, and the shortest ones last.